Hey everyone, Pat Mesiti here, and welcome to the No Grey Zone. I like that at live at 5, and tonight we're going to be talking about some of the, well, I believe it's just basically lies. I mean, now we're under the second wave of this COVID-19, and I just want to blow up a few things. I'm just going to make sure that my connection is working, and that you can all hear me loud and clear. So can you all hear me loud and clear? I'm assuming you all can. But today I'm going to show you a video about these wonderful face masks we're encouraged to wear. Do you know the World Health Organization encouraged us to wear these health masks, or these facial masks, because these facial masks are going to save us, and they're so hygienic for us, and they're so good for us. They're not telling us that we're breathing in our own, bad bacteria and everything else that we've got. But I'm going to show you a video in a moment. But what I want to do while we're waiting for people to jump on board, I want to speak about some of the lies and deception of this fake pandemic. I mean, it's becoming so blatantly obvious. Before I do, let me just say something here. What I find really interesting is that the Premier of Victoria has caused his people to pay a high price for his complete incompetence as a leader. Now, I don't make it my job to criticize parliamentarians and politicians, but this guy really is out of control. I mean, he had the strictest, harshest laws in Australia, the strictest lockdowns, the most draconian police. I mean, I'll give you an example. You find a lady $1,650 for driving 30 kilometers to feed her horse. Are you serious? You got people, little busybodies, running around dobbing on their friends and relatives because they're going on a beach or going on a walk. This is all because the Premier of Victoria, who allowed a Black Lives Matters march. Maybe what we ought to do is have Black Lives Matters party all over the state. That way you can have your friends over. He allowed a Black Lives Matters rally, thousands of people, and yet wants to fine mum and dads. This guy, watch this, the arrogance of this Premier, who had the most draconian, the most strictest, the most communistic, socialist laws out there, and now he's in his second wave. Let me tell you why. Because your measures don't work. It doesn't work. You're not teaching people about immune systems. You're not teaching them how to be self-reliant. You are causing more damage. This guy has the slowest coming out of lockdown record, the strictest laws, imposed more fines for people visiting cemeteries. How do you get coronavirus from a dead person? Last time I checked, maybe it's just part of the fudging of the numbers. And his security in these hotels were not by policemen or by people of any kind of training. Half of them were trained for 5 minutes, where there's been an alleged instances where these people living in these quarantined atmospheres are exchanging sexual favors for being able to be released. Are you kidding me? You punish people. You know what? You are doing things wrong where it matters, and doing things even worse where it doesn't matter. You're hurting people. This guy, at the same time, has overseen the death of the business world in Melbourne, whilst giving himself a pay rise. I don't understand this. How do you shut down other people's business? You got government agencies open all the time and giving yourselves pay rises. What, you get pay rises? In my industry, I get paid by performance. Many of my real estate friends and doctors and nurses out there are paid by performance. You know, you've empowered people to spy on people and scaring them with this second wave. Let me show you a video of one of the measures that they've told us to keep us safe, to keep us from breathing in the COVID air, whatever it is we're supposed to be catching. Have a look at how some of these masks are made. Jonathan, can we switch to that video? Have a look at
एक मास्क हटा कर दे चला चला
You see, guys, it's all about the rhetoric. And we have a fake pandemic, which is seeing the systemic destruction of what we know to be right and sane. And it's all about words. It's all about words. Words have power. Our culture has used words for many, many, many years to create a culture. For example, in the area of drugs, we have what we call party drugs. Can I assure you there's nothing partying about drugs, or social drugs. Now the second wave, They announced this second wave. They pre-prepared us before. Why is it that 1.5 million died of tuberculosis and no one wore a mask? I'll tell you what. Because the narrative in the media wasn't that. They didn't use those words. 1.5 million people with tuberculosis died. How come with the 900 odd lives that died of the flu last year in this country, we weren't told to wear masks. We weren't first to wear masks. We weren't told to social distance. And I want to debunk some of this narrative tonight because the narrative doesn't make sense. For example, you've got a quarantine. It's a term now that we use for what we call house arrest. In Victoria, you're basically under house arrest. Call it what it is. It's not quarantine. That's a term that should be used for people that actually are ill, not people that have got no symptoms, nothing. These terms are used to create fear. Terms like social distancing. There is nothing social when you are under forced isolation, forced distancing. It's the same rhetoric and lies like the mask lies. Dr. Fauci said, well, I'm not too sure now whether lies really, whether masks really work or not. Obviously, lies work. You're better to stay safe at home. Well, domestic violence is up. Suicide's up. From what I'm seeing, the whole area of assault is up. Safe at home. Oh, watch this. This is good for the greater good at all. Can you explain to me how shutting down an economy, causing people to commit, based on the verge of suicide because they can't keep up with the financial pressures, businesses that have been run by families for many years, both rural and city, family-owned businesses, totally destroyed. How is this for the greater good? How is causing people to be depressed, full of anxiety? It is not for the greater good. This is the one I love. We're all in this together. No, we're not. Are you kidding me? How are we all in this together when Black Lives Matter can get out there and run around like they own the joint? How come we've got people in this country right now breaking the law week after week after week after week, and people, the good people of Victoria that have kept the law, now they're getting punished? How is it that you can go to a Black Lives Matter march but you can't play golf? These are slogans that are used to indoctrinate you. Adolf Hitler did not persuade the people of Nazi Germany with truth. He persuaded them with rhetoric and he used repetition. And we're hearing these words. You notice how the media is building up, a mainstream media. The second wave is now, oh boy, Sydney, there's a pub in Sydney and they're just seeding it. Just you watch, you mark my words, they're seeding it for the second wave. So government can control. We're not all in this together. And then words like the new normal. There's not what is normal about some of these laws that are being forced upon us. I call it forced isolation. Basically, the house arrest is what they ought to call it. Call it house arrest. Call it what it is. Like drugs, call them what they are. Death drugs. It's all in the wording. And what amazes me is this virus doesn't exist in supermarkets or anything incredible, really. And what I'm finding amazing is if this virus was so scary, how come it hasn't wiped out the whole homeless population? No sanitation, no sterile environment, certainly no social distancing, certainly no cleanliness, no mask. Let me tell you why, because it doesn't fit the rhetoric. And we have to be smart. If this is a real health crisis, they wouldn't have had to fudge the numbers. They wouldn't have to have fake death certificates. And we know that to be true. They wouldn't have pushing for vaccines. They wouldn't be that they wouldn't have to have the fake when they created all those numbers. We're going to have these massive millions of people die, and hospital beds are going to be, football stadiums that are going to be packed up. We would never have had to have any of that. We didn't have it with swine flu. We didn't have it with, we certainly haven't got it with tuberculosis. We didn't have it under Obama's rule with the influenza that went around then, swine flu. Why now? Why now? It's an agenda. And we have to see through the words. The left has always been masterful at creating words. And sadly, the right are buying into it too. Fear will always cause people to be under control. Number two, totalitarian and socialist governments will always impose law. Watch this, but won't punish those that actually break it. They'll punish those that are the most vulnerable, the weakest, and the ones that don't buy in. Why would a poor lady in Victoria get fined $1,650 for feeding an animal? Look, I'm not an animal lover, just ask my family, but hey, she was doing the right thing. Why are people being fined to go to a cemetery? Playing golf. We couldn't even go out on a boat. There's no more socially isolated people than people on boats getting out there on the water. There's no more social distancing than that, because it didn't fit the narrative. It didn't fit the agenda. It didn't fit the control. And smart people are smart. You that are watching me, you're smart. Don't fall for these lines. When you hear quarantine, call it what it is. Call it house arrest. Social distancing, call it what it is. It's social isolation. That's what it is. Greater good. There is no greater good when businesses are shut down and politicians give themselves pay rises. And then we're going to get slugged. If you don't think we're going to get slugged taxation-wise, you're kidding yourself. I really believe we need to start speaking up. I really believe that we've had enough of the economy being crushed. We've had enough of all these laws that are keeping us alienated from each other. The human soul was meant for connection. The human soul was meant for interaction. Our bodies are well capable. 99% of cases with COVID-19, coronavirus, Chinese virus are mild. Now, what about the people that are dying? Most of them we know, and I'm sorry for anyone that would die of anything. Most of them are people who already have underlying conditions. State of Illinois last week admitted that they were basically, if you come anywhere near COVID-19 and you had cancer, you stubbed your toenail and you died, they're going to put you down as COVID-19 or coronavirus. We've had enough. And we need to be right into our politicians. Remember, they are our elected people. They should be doing what we tell them. This is called a democracy. And the Premier of Melbourne what I can see. Not only is arrogance, mate, it just beggars. You got 5 million people under lockdown, whatever, I mean, under lockdown, rather than the city should be flourishing and booming. And making it hard for our police force, not training people that are looking after these hotels where the so-called quarantine people are. Most of the infections we're getting are from overseas people, who the Premier of Melbourne has the laxest laws of all. We've got to get smart, and we've got to start speaking up. Those who pretend to care for you probably will be your jailers and your incarcerators. They're holding us captive. We need to start speaking out. If you don't fight for your freedom, you won't have any freedoms left. Now, I sometimes feel like a voice crying in the wilderness. I appreciate all the comments that are here and everyone that says, yeah, great, Pat, and all the views. I love it all. But you've got to start writing. You've got to start stamping your feet. You've got to start making some noises. Do I believe there is a coronavirus? Yeah. But I certainly don't believe the drama, the rhetoric, and the fake fudged numbers that we are constantly seeing. And quite honestly, people have had enough. I'm sure most of you watching have had enough. You're seeing past the rhetoric and you're seeing past the jargon. Anyway, I have my rant. Tomorrow we're going to inspire you, build you up, get you going onto another level. And hey, share this message. Please pass it on. Press like, subscribe. Make sure we get our message out. Make your voice heard. You have a voice. Get out there. Say it loud. Say it clear. You can, well, that's the old John Farnham song. You're the voice. Make sure your voice is heard. God bless you. Have a prosperous life.